Please note that nothing in this podcast should ever be taken as personal financial advice.
And if you are seeking financial advice, reach out as we work with professionals in the industry. And welcome back to the Finance Bible podcast.
We are your hosts. My name is Oscar and I'm joined with our co-founder of the Finance Bible, Zeke.
Mate, it's good to see you again. How have you been going?
Yeah, not too bad. Just cruising along, you can say. This week was pretty good. Just trying to get out of the house, go for some walks. I've probably walked around Sydney about 40 times now in the last month or two.
Yeah, it'll be a quick 5-kilometre walk, I hope. Nothing more.
Well, we'll keep it like that, mate. We won't go into the
specifics.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a logistics conversation.
Logistics, keyword. What about yourself, mate? What have you been up to?
Oh, I've been getting a little bit of exercise in every morning. Getting up nice and early, trying to make sure we're not just sitting around all day.
Summer is coming.
It's a habit that a lot of people will be getting into.
Gotta get that rig sorted.
But I've got a brand new puppy, mate. So it's
yeah. I was going to mention the puppy in this podcast. How's that going? I've heard you've told me you. Like a baby, you can't really sleep at night.
Oh, it's causing some issues around the house. Like you've got to get up and let him out of the cage like every 2 hours. Otherwise, you're cleaning piss and crap all day. But
are you in love
she's
with it?
She's going all right. No. But she's good.
What's the name?
She's getting there. We've called it Shifu, mate.
Righto.
Like Master Shifu from Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah.
Not sure if it's a good name, but
play on from that. Well, it keeps you busy. If you want to ever drop it off to mine, feel free.
Yeah, I wonder how many people have actually bought dogs during the lockdown, getting some companions.
Well, look, if you do look on your Instagram stories in the last few months, I reckon you could count at least 50 odd.
It's gone up. Yeah.
Look, anyway, enough about Shifu, what a legend of a dog by the sounds of it. But we'll jump into what we kind of mentioned at the end of the last week's podcast. We're going to talk about leveraging and basically how it's so beneficial for building wealth, creating that the start of your financial freedom.
Yeah, it's really a powerful tool in order to help people get from A to B. A to B being where they are now to where they want to be, obviously, or closer to it.
Like in retirement as well. Like if you're thinking about retirement, if you're at that age, and you haven't started doing it, leveraging is something which, is extremely beneficial to, in a way, it's borrowing debt to invest. It's probably the simplified way of really explaining it.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as you use money that you don't have and leverage it into further assets.
Yeah.
Now, just touching on assets, obviously, that's not including your own home. It's not including a car. It's not including a credit card. It's not including any of these kind of things that actually don't help you financially. It's more things like shares, investment properties, and that things that will actually create an income for you.
Yeah, well, look, when I think of leveraging, I think, I'm not sure if many people do, but I think solely on investment properties, going to, to the lender and borrowing the funds to actually put it in that property. And over time, even though you're paying off the debt from the rental income of the property or whatever you actually acquire, which asset you acquire, in the long run, you'll actually, you'll gain money, and, you'll build your wealth more than if you didn't actually borrow that debt. We've done a post, when was it, our third post or, on our account, about the two different situations if you borrowed money to invest in, say, a property, or if you just put it into the ASX over how many years was it?
I've just done it based on literally 1 year.
Yeah, so
all it is you've got 150 grand laying around. First of all, you don't leave it in a bank account. Well, I wouldn't anyway, because you'll be looking at 1 or 2% returns at the moment in the interest rate we're in.
Yeah.
So we've gone with the two scenarios of you put it into shares. The average dividend on the ASX at the moment is 4.1%, which is just whipped up off Google.
Good old Google, mate. No dog pile.
And that provides you with about $6,150 per year as an income.
Yeah. Now, talk about the if you leverage it.
If you leverage that 150k into an asset like a property, and it was worth 550,000, yeah, sure, you've got just over $400,000 of debt after you pay your stamp duty and all of that kind of stuff. But returning the same percentage, 4.1%, you get $22,550 per year, which is notably about $14,000 more per year. And that's using the interest rate of 2.79%. You'd still end up generating more income, and over time, your asset, which is a larger value, would raise and double in value quicker than the shares due to the amount of money it's worth.
It's quite funny how that actually works, because a lot of people, when they see debt or a mortgage, they're freaked out. Like, no one, obviously, it's your natural instinct to be afraid of paying money, a large sum of money as well. So it's funny how a lot of people still don't realize that acquiring debt is actually a good thing in the long run.
If it's for investing.
Yeah, if it's for investing.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting and it's good to just understand this earlier on. If you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, and you're wanting to build that wealth up over your time, especially if you've got a partner or a family wanting to help, look after your kids in the future. Like, understanding leverage and how you can benefit from it is literally, it's a game changer. One of our favourites who we always touch on, it's quite funny, we always touch on him in each podcast, Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Look, in one of his books and one of his quotes, he does touch on all aspects of finance and how to build wealth. But there's one quote which stood out, and that is basically, people without leverage work for those with leverage.
Let that sink in.
Let that sink in. I'll repeat it again.
Do it.
People without leverage work for those with leverage.
What that means is, obviously, the people who aren't leveraging are obviously going to be working to pay money, for example, rent, to the people who have leveraged. So, for example, myself, I've leveraged into a property, and I know that someone is going to be working to pay me my money back, plus some.
Like the tenant.
Yeah, the tenant.
Yeah, the tenant.
Yeah. On that note, I meet a lot of clients today who are in their 40s, in their 50s, so they're reaching 20 years until preservation age, which is 60 at the moment.
Which a lot of people think is 65.
Yeah.
But we'll touch on that another time.
We need to stop doing that. I'll just touch on it now. So your preservation age is 60 in Australia. Basically, the misconception the media's created is the age that you can get the pension, people think is the age you can access super. Now, the pension age, obviously, it varies per individual. Like, there's different birth years where your age changes for being enabled to get the pension. For example, 1966, depending when you were born, the age is 67 at the moment. Simply put, preservation age is 60, and there's other conditions of releases as well. But we've got a lot of clients who are, or I meet a lot of clients who are reaching 20 years or so until they're going to be at 60 or 65, retirement age, and they go, well, I don't want to get another investment because I'm obviously going to have debt. I won't pay it off in the next 20 years. Having debt in an investment property isn't a bad thing. Having no debt would be ideal because happy days.
Everything's paid off. You can live your life.
Yeah, like this example shows you're better off actually having the debt than you are not having the debt. So what we've done is we've calculated that the $150,000 after you get the income would turn into $156,150, okay? Minus interest, it stays at $156,150. Now with the property, it starts at $550,000 through the leveraging. The rent is paid, which takes you to $575,000, and then you pay the interest, and you get $565,000 at the end of it. So you're still actually making a significant different value long term. So imagine that repeated over, we'll call it a loan term of 30 years. It's a big difference.
Please note that nothing in this podcast should ever be taken as personal financial advice.
And if you are seeking financial advice, reach out as we work with professionals in the industry.
Zeke, I know you're pretty across your superannuation system and how that all works. So the main question a lot of people want to know is, it's well and fine to use leveraging in your personal name, but I think when they look to leverage in a super fund or using their super, it becomes a bit fuzzy, and a lot of people don't really understand if they actually can. Do you want to touch on how that all works in your super, and if there's a difference, or just what the process is?
Well, in super, it is a different world to your normal world. I like to call them two different worlds, so completely separate.
Don't affect each other.
Not a lot of correlation. So your personal name leveraging is quite simple, in my opinion, because you've got your whole income to help service the debt. You might have equity in another house, or you might have a partner with a lot of income as well, which can help with the loan. You've got low interest rates at the moment, which are really beneficial during leveraging.
All-time lows the interest rates are at the moment.
Yeah, and that's
it's good. That's why a lot of people are getting the properties now, even though the housing markets are through the roof and the prices. But who knows if that's going to drop off? Probably not. It's going to continue to peak.
Yeah, well, even if it drops off a little bit, the volume that we've seen, it's the biggest in 17 years. Yeah. And it is projected by multiple banks, for example, Westpac, ANZ and NAB are all tipping it to rise another 16 to 20% over the next 2 years.
So look, there's no point sitting and waiting for it to blink of an eye. You'll be 30 years older, and you missed your opportunity. So yeah, sorry to interrupt, mate, but keep talking about.
I don't even know where I was, but
the super leveraging situation.
Yeah, I think I was talking about the interest rate. So yeah, if you leverage a high amount, obviously the interest rate is going to be a big factor. So at the moment, the interest rates are really low. You're looking at maybe 2.8%, pending your scenario for an interest rate at the moment.
And just touching on interest rates, compared to personal, super interest rates are higher.
They are, yes. So not only in super do you need a bigger deposit, generally speaking, than what you do in your personal name. For example, in your personal name, the most you'd really need as a deposit is 20%.
Yeah, but the minimum is 30 in super.
Normally 20 to 30% as a deposit. And you've also got to pay all the upfront costs and everything, for example, stamp duty, legal fees and all of that. And in super as well with the property, because you can't do split contracts in superannuation if you're leveraging into property. So if you're buying a house and land package in your personal name and the land is $100,000 and then the build is $600,000, you only pay stamp duty on the $100,000 of land, which is like $2,500 or whatever it is,
on
percentage base that it's charged. But in super, you pay the stamp duty on the whole thing because it's one contract. So if it's $700,000, it's going to be 7 times more than what you would in personal. And then you've also got the interest rates are higher. We're talking it changes again per situation, but maybe 3.5, 3.8.
Generally, is around mid threes,
and that will end up going up over time. Meaning, if you're leveraging, it's going to be harder. You might need a bit higher rental return to make it worth it. But the servicing in your super is more to do with the actual contributions going in, so you can lift that by doing salary sacrifice, also save some tax as well.
Yeah, but with your super and looking to invest in super, it's obviously a great tool for funding your retirement and basically paying yourself an income, or in a way replacing your current income. But I believe, and I know you're a big believer of this as well, to focus first in your personal name. Mm-hmm. Get that sorted, especially when you're young, because like we said before, you don't get paid from your super fund until you're 60.
Correct.
So, if you obviously
at earliest, pending transition to retirement and other conditions of release.
Like who knows what's going to happen?
We'll call it 60.
At the moment, right now, it's 60.
Yeah.
And you obviously the balance of your super fund as well. You've got to build that up over time and have a certain amount of funds in that to actually have a deposit in your super fund. So once you've got that amount in there, that's great.
In super too, you've got to have, to get approved for the loan, you've got to have a liquidity buffer. So not only a higher deposit and higher stamp duty most likely, but you've also got to have a liquidity buffer, like a percentage of the funds have to remain not invested in the property to get approved for the loan. So that can be $40,000 that you've got to have on top of the deposit just to meet servicing for a loan.
Yeah, and the super conversation, it's a very in-depth, there's so many different avenues with super and the lending behind super and, replicating your income. We do, next week is basically just solely on the super conversation. So we'll jump through all those hoops and actually dive into them head first and explain everything. We'll also pop some, every Monday, what we're also doing is on our page, we're going to post just a forum on our Instagram story, just for any questions that you guys have. So every Monday morning, we'll post it. If you have any questions, just reply and we'll answer them Monday night, Monday afternoon. And even if, some get us quite ticking, we'll talk about them in the podcast that week, if they're a great question. But yeah, every Monday, if you do have something that pops up over the weekend or from the podcasts on Sunday nights, just pop that in the comments.
If we get enough in-depth questions that we need to answer, we
just do a question.
We might even do a podcast every few weeks of like a Q&A session.
Yeah.
And we just build up a big list of questions, go over them.
And look, even if you want to ask some personal questions, such as if Zeke ended up getting that dress last week that you were talking about, mate, we can talk about that.
Yep.
Did you actually end up getting that dress?
Or did you end up getting on the punt or?
I didn't get on the winnings, that's for sure. Got on the soy lattes.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, I reckon that's kind of, in a way, leveraging. It's quite in depth, but that's kind of the simplified way and how it works and the benefits for it long term. Do you have anything else you kind of want to touch on, Zeke? Or?
Well, I liked where you were going before, saying we're believers to do it in your personal name first.
Yeah, you want to touch on that again?
Yeah, now on that, I think if you can build up the income you're receiving in your personal name and kickstart it, the concessional contribution limit at the moment, what you can contribute pre-tax to your superannuation fund at the moment is $27,500 a year. If you can build up that passive income in your personal name and then start throwing the surplus rent into your super, not only does it carry tax benefits, but it builds up your super quicker and enables you to be able to go in your super quick as well. So that's one strategy that's possible to do. There's a lot of different strategies out there, but
you can escape the rat race.
Like
we said, week one.
Yeah, don't be a hamster in the hamster wheel. Running around in circles, paying off the home loan as quick as you can. Don't do it.
Use leveraging to get out of it and enjoy your freedom. All right, and unfortunately that brings us to the end of yet another Finance Bible podcast. We hope you did enjoy it and get quite a bit of information out of this episode. As always, if you do have any friends, families, colleagues, even acquaintances that would think benefit from this podcast or our posts, share our details with them and get them to jump on board, or even have a little podcast date with yourself and sitting under a candlelight dinner and just listen to the Finance Bible boys go
Get
ahead.
Cute and educated at the same time.
Who would have thought?
Well, join us next week for another deep dive into superannuation. We'll go a bit further into that realm. Until then, keep budgeting.
Keep investing.
And keep listening. Adios.
Ciao.